the challenges, like so many challenges. I wanted to record his success journey tomorrow, but he was not available. Even today, he was supposed to be here, and he just messaged, "Hey, Amir, I got up somewhere. I'm coming in 5 minutes." And he's where the certified PMP with all above target, Muneeb from Pakistan, from Lahore. Muneeb, first of all, congratulations on clearing PMP in the first try with all above
Thank you very
target
much.
style. So, what
Thank
does
you very much, Ahmed.
welcome, Muni? What am I saying here to everyone who wants to know what does all above target means? Let me show everyone what does that mean. This is all above target. So when you get result card, if you are God forbid in the pink area, you fail. If you are in the yellow area, you fail. Starting from the light green area, you pass the exam. And then when you go to a green area, you pass the exam. Then you get people above target, process above target, business environment above target. Muni, brother, you are above target. So why don't you share your journey in your own way, starting from how the exam was, and let's move backwards to it.
All right, Joe. The exam preparation. I think when we started from very first class, the things that you were telling us, I actually experienced when I was sitting, taking the exam.
Okay.
Everything turned out to be exactly what you were saying. So the first section, I started, doing the questions, and I continue to remember one thing that you said, that slow down, Muneeb. And there were some questions that that made me panic. But when I
Mhm.
realized that we need to focus, we need to manage the time at the same time, and then continue to think about the rest of the exam, and then it made things easier for me. There were some questions where I could not understand a single thing, and then I remember that you were telling us that use the elimination techniques. Let's go with the elimination techniques. And using that elimination techniques, in just 10 minutes, I realized that I know the test now, and it's going to be awesome. And this is how I was able to manage the toughest section from the start, and moving on, managing, and then let's say, coming to the second section and third section, I was already acclimated, let's say, to the test environment.
Mm.
If we talk about, the process starting from the coaching classes, you were always very clear about what we need to do to, to be successful. It was always the mind maps. To be honest, when I started working on the mind maps, I was not a big fan of it. I couldn't, understand what was the reason for it. But along the way, when actually I started doing the mocks, I realized how important that was. And then even when we started the first mock and the scores were low, and you focused not on the not on our scores, you said that do the deep RCA. And when I started doing the RCA, the process groups, the deep thinking, and the processes behind the deep knowledge, it became natural to me. So learning from our own mistakes, doing the RCA, it was the right thing, and it was the recipe to success, in my opinion.
Mm. Mm. Okay, that was the recipe of this. So what he just basically shared, one of the most important thing is root cause analysis, doing the
And that
RCA,
that is correct.
how to do it. Okay, Munib, let's walk through it a little bit here. I want to go as deep as possible. We will solve the question, but your journey, you cleared PM in just 23 days. Your journey is very important to me. So Munib, walk me through this process. What is RCA and how you did it?
All right. So the RCA is something, whenever we do something right or
Mm,
we do something wrong. So what we do is that we look at the learning that we get.
mm,
Doing some questions, let's say there are four options. I
mm,
selected one option. You were always of the view that even when the question is correct, you have corrected the right
mm,
answer. Write down reasons why you said this is the right answer.
mm,
So what it does is that it reinforces the right process and the information that you need to be aware of, because
mm. You need to be aware of. This is something that we need to understand that.
answer,
When your voice,
based on chance. But
can you
and
repeat?
for
Uh,
the wrong questions, what it does, it does exactly the same. You understand why you chose the wrong answer, and what was the actual thought behind the or what was the original reason of the right answers.
Okay.
By doing this, the RCA on every mock, I think it improves your knowledge. And the thing that you continue to say, that you do not need to read the books, you just need to follow the process.
Hmm.
It gives you so much information in so much less time. That's not possible, after reading so many books.
Hmm. Hmm. Reading so many books. So, if I understand right, this is you understand the content, you go through the content, you understand the RCA, you worked into that, and then you do a detailed RCA and you moved it into that way. That's what we are discussing here. That's what you are saying. That's how you do the detailed root cause analysis. Am I understanding it right?
You are absolutely right.
Hmm. So this is very critical, and this is one of the most important thing into that. Let's talk about time management in the exam. Time management is the exam management, right? So how did you manage time in the exam?
So again, I mean, I remember everything that you said in the class. You told us, and also in one-to-one call before, before my exam, it was to break down the sections. Starting from the first section, you need to do it in 80 minutes. Just keep check of it, and even if the time is going beyond the limit, you need to start reading from the last line and just start picking the questions if the time limit is crossing. But we need to make sure that the first section is done in 80 minutes, second one is in 75, and the third one is in 75. The idea behind this, I think, is that once you go to the the test center, you are new there, you are just trying to understand the situation there, you're trying to be understand the exam as well, the new software, everything there. So, and generally the first section is difficult than the other one. So you take 80 minutes there, and then you break up the rest of the 120 question in 75 minutes. So it was a lot easier for me to manage the time, because when I was doing the mocks, I was trying to create the exact exam situation environment. So I was sitting upright. I was always using the timer with me to make sure that even when I'm doing the mocks in my home, I am just replicating the test center environment, and that actually really helped me in the real exam.
Hmm. That really help you in the real exam, that helped you how to feel the content of that. Okay, uh, that was something that needs to be looked into that. Okay, that's a beautiful thing to put in the context. So if I say 80, 75, 75 was your formula that you followed in the exam, right? How
That's correct.
important those 10-10 minute break is for the exam?
Oh, you only understand it when you take the last break. In the first break, the adrenaline is running, and you are thinking about negative things and the positive things, and you're thinking, yes, I'm going to get tested here. I've worked a lot of I've worked very hard to make sure that I pass this exam. And in first break, you realize that if I skip, what happens? And then you need to remind yourself that your brain can gets heated. It can gets overwhelmed because there are so many questions. You're just staring at the blank screen and the white screen, and it can mess up your next question. So it was very important to take the breaks seriously. So I took my breaks, just like what you were saying. You were telling me, what I did was, whenever I took the break, I sipped some water, and I started the deep breathing. It helped me to calm my nerves, and it gives me more clarity to my mind. The anxiety was gone, and after the first break, I knew what I had to do, and things became a lot easier for me. So I think it's very important to understand the benefits of taking the break seriously. I would say nobody should skip the breaks, because they are not going to be added in your official time. They're made for you, so you can rest, and you can come back to your senses if you're already in anxiety, or you're worried or depressed.
Okay, okay, that's a very important thing, guys. If you have any question, I have my set of questions that I will be asking. But if you have any question, please do ask. Now, the very important thing, I have a booklet. Did you read Pathway to PMP or any book to pass the PMP?
I was expecting this question. So, I did read the pamphlet that you shared with us.
Not the
The
book,
key.
not the
No, no, no,
booklet,
no, no, no.
book.
I'm coming to that point. So, personally, I believe the reason why I was able to, score above target was because I read some of your content from that book,
Mm.
and mostly because I like to read, more books. I mean, for anyone trying to, pass the PMP exam, the pamphlet is more than enough. I can assure you that.
Don't
Okay,
say
doing
pamphlet. Say the right name. PMP booklet. Don't say that
I keep
pamphlet.
I keep forgetting the name. So yeah, it's a PMP booklet with 8 or 10 pages. Yeah, this one. Yeah.
I,
So I mean, if you
I
read it,
like what you said. I like what you said. Maybe because I am thinking to make a new edition of this with everything that is written in it, and also convert it into. You see me putting something on Chat GP in the image format, right? I am actually thinking to convert this book into more of a also. In addition to that, like image format, right? So maybe like for example, if I showed you this picture which I posted in the morning. Uh, this is a summary of the process groups, everything here. So maybe I can put the name as a PMP pamphlet, right? What do you think about that? If I,
I think it's a good idea. It's a
it's
very
like,
good idea. I would also say that the mind map that you create, it's a kind of storytelling. The
hmm,
whole process. I mean, imagine you are talking about the team topic and you have one page where you can understand everything. So I would, you know, humbly request you, if there's a possibility, do include the mind maps in your booklet. It's going to be an awesome book.
mind maps, we will see how to do into that. I don't like to give mind maps because if I give mind maps, the problem is that if I give you mind map, you don't make your own mind map. One of the reason, two things I don't share. Mind like now the interesting thing is they don't bother to check that is in the file I share on second day. It is in there, but I know
Yeah.
they are not gonna check it. The point is, if I shared with them, they will not make their own mind map. And the real thing about the mind map or the flow is when you make your own self. And second, of course, the RC Excel sheet. They ask me share other students. I don't do that. I say no, do your own. But I will rethink it. It's always thing here. Now this is an important thing that which he is mentioning. So let's talk about a little bit more into that detail, which I love to say is customized roadmap. A roadmap that
Oh.
works for you, right? Like you are saying
So,
booklet. Yeah. So what is that in your meaning and how it is important?
a very good question, actually. And I think this is one of the single most important factor in your program, because if I look at my work life balance, I was always overwhelmed with work. I could not self study. There was always the need to push me and to guide me to study, to understand things. So the customized map was that you assigned Said as a facilitator to me. You were also checking with me, on various times, just to check what are we doing. So in customized roadmap, what you were doing is that you were continually tracking my progress and where I was lacking and where I was okay. And you were deciding which mocks I need to do, which processes I need to understand, which videos I should be watching.
Hmm.
And then the facilitator, Said, is an amazing person. Thanks to him as well. He continued to check every day with me, and it was kind of an AI helper for me, because whenever I sent him any question that say that I do not understand the answer or the logic behind it, he was the one breaking it down, the question into smaller parts, and try to take me, um, to explain to me the deepest concept behind it. I mean, he solved so many tough questions for me, and it made it very easy for me. And this was one of the reason, I mean, I was able to
So he was talking about customized roadmap. You see, this is one of the reason he gave exam in center. He is living in Lahore, in one of the areas where internet is normal, right? And still,
Key to
you can
success.
see while he's talking, the internet is stopping. So we lost you for the second time in between. So I started sharing with that why it is, why do I recommend give exam in center and not at home? Like you, I
Yeah.
guess you live in Punjab society, right? If I'm not wrong.
Yes. Yes.
So I remember because when you talked about, I told you what is the rate of the 5 Marlas houses there. I like to buy the house, and like we were having discussion in that day. I was telling my wife that when if I'm not wrong, Muneeb, now I can go a little bit more in depth with Muneeb regarding that discussion. Now he's cleared PMP. So Muneeb, so customized roadmap is very important, but you cannot have a roadmap with the most important thing in my program, and that is this, like the daily follow up that Said was doing it. Like Said is beautiful into that. The way Said is doing, I'm really impressed with you guys are his first batch, and you are not the first student. Mohsin was the first student, then Jane. Now, so how important the follow up is? Then I will take the questions from the people who are asking. Yes, how important the follow up is that in your point of view.
So uh, imagine that you already have committed a date because in our very first lecture, Amir asked us, write down a date when we want to, complete the PMP, and everyone, wrote down. I'm sure everyone wrote it, but stick to that plan. If you lack some discipline, just like myself, because of any reason, any responsibilities, any work life, challenges, anything, or you're sick, when there's someone who is following up on every day, making sure that you do something.
Hmm.
Even when I was sick, for one day, I was supposed to, do one mock and I could not do it. And I remember one thing that Amir used to say in his class, that one is greater than the zero. You know what I did? I, just started watching one of his videos. It was, I think, 18 minutes video. I was just lying in my bed and I was listening to it. So the incremental, the learning is very important, and follow up really helps you. It keeps you motivated. I remember one day I was very pissed off at work. I came back home, I did the mock, and my mock result was not up to my standard, let's say. Said looked at the score and he said, "You are doing great." It gave me kind of a push that I wanted to, and I, started working with him again for another mock. So follow up is not just, asking you the question that how you are doing today or what you have done today. Is the whole process of, motivating you every day, monitoring and tracking your progress to understand where you are lacking, where you need help, where you need actual push, and where you need the appreciation. So I think it's just not just the follow up; it's a whole process behind it.
Hmm. Okay, I'll come back to this thing. Let's take the questions one by one. Shajil is saying, was there any mathematical question from cost and how was the level of it?
Yeah, there was no question, no calculation question. Interestingly,
Hmm. Okay, and how many drag and drop question were there?
there were four drag and drop questions.
Hmm.
One
Hmm.
was related to risk, one was related to agile, and then there was a kind of situations where you need to understand, project manager role in terms with respect to the problems.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, okay, that's
Fourth
a
one,
very
I don't remember.
okay. Okay, that's perfectly fine. How many people process and random mocks? How? Okay, that's a good question. So going back to you, since you did PMP in almost 3 months, how many mocks you did?
So I did five people mock.
Mm,
I think four process mocks,
mm,
and there were two random mocks, and then I did four 180 mocks.
mm. For 180 mock. Okay. This is an important thing to look into, that every single student who is doing into that way. Every single student who is doing into that way. I remember, okay, now that's a very interesting story about his exam. Okay, so I'll show you everybody his real scores who wants to know that. Uh, it's a very interesting thing here. what happened with him and Said. Suddenly I took them away. Both were saying no, sir. So he did people mock 1, he did people mock 2, he did people mock 4. That was maybe a bad score. 5 process, he was doing it. Now he said, send me this thing. Okay, if I can show this thing to, yeah. Here on, this was on Sunday, right? This was on Sunday. Said send me this thing, his score. And I message him. I send him an audio that ask him to book the exam. Now Said was saying, let's do something. I said, wait a second. I immediately called Muneeb. I said, Muneeb, book the exam for tomorrow. And Muneeb was like, Muneeb, you share me your feelings, what happened there after this. So I
It's a
told
very
him,
funny story.
yeah, I said,
Exactly.
book the exam tomorrow. He's like, what? I said, yeah. He said, sir, can I do it or maybe Saturday? I said, no, to tomorrow. He said, sir, what about Wednesday? I said, okay, you have a go ahead for me, go and book the exam, right? And then he did it. So when Munib did that, then I told Said he's ready, okay, because that's where my expertise lies, to identify pattern. There's a thing called law of diminishing return. I'm very afraid of it. You keep on working, and suddenly your performance reach a peak. Whatever you do, you cannot improve into that. So your scores were at that level. So how did you feel when I asked you to book the exam?
Yeah. So before that, Carl, I was, just talking to Said, and he was saying, let's do another mock. And I was, mentally preparing for that. I was sitting on my chair, and then suddenly I got your call, and you said, Muneeb, book the exam for Monday. I said, which Monday? You said tomorrow. I said, how? I mean, I'm not ready. He said, no, you are ready. I am seeing your score, and I can confirm to you that you are going to pass the exam. I was, just shocked because I was thinking that maybe I need little more training and I need to, do some more study. So I kind of started negotiating with him. Can I do it on Wednesday? Can I do it on Thursday? He said, okay. He, paused for a second and said, okay, let's go for Wednesday. And then he said that I'm going to record your success journey. And I was like, how this guy is so confident. Even I am, struggling to understand my emotions, and I'm just questioning whatever I have done. And day before the exam, he called me again. It was late night, I think 11 something. He said, he gave me some good advices, and then he told me that, Muneeb, I'm gonna record your success journey, and I was like, you are just, hyping me up. But after yeah, so after the exam, I really understood why you were so confident, because you saw through the work that I've put in. You knew your process very well.
Hmm, hmm,
Through it, so it was a lot easier for you to see the end result there.
hmm. This is very important thing. You see, with the expertise, with the thousands of PMPs that I have under the belt, one thing you get, and you should get it, guys. I'm sure you will. You in your field, you do the same thing. If you cannot identify the pattern, if you cannot identify, okay, what's gonna go the next step. This is what I say in the PMP booklet. Next step, next step, next step. That's what I am here for. Like there are some students, if they say like I want to give the exam, I want to stop them, right? This is something very important. So that's why when you say I want to book the exam, I want to see the scores. Like one of the student from batch 3, again, he just messaged me, I'm going to book the exam on 14th of May. I told him, let me call you, let me discuss it. He shared me score. I said, okay, now you are ready, go book the exam. One student also said the same thing, that I'm thinking to book. I looked at his score. I said, no, not for a month more, right? This is very critical that we need to understand. Again, guys, people ask me, uh, where are you from? Put in the chat box. That will give you more context. Put in the chat box. Put in the chat box. Put in the chat box where in which city are you in. So let's say you are from Pakistan, India. Let's say you are from anywhere, any part of the world, right? You are from any part of the world. This happens with Muneeb for the third time, right? He probably should have good internet, but This is why you should never give exam at home. Okay, Muzammil Saab is asking from which section most of the question came in the exam.
So Amir was telling us that the most of the exam would be coming from agile, hybrid, a little bit from risk, and this is very true about, at least for my exam. Most of the exam would be coming from risk.
So, Asia, Azam, Lahore, like this is Amsterdam. Amsterdam will be okay. So when you are giving the exam, you need to make sure this thing very critical. So yeah, only we lost you again. So you from which area the exam came? From which areas the exam came? Munib, can you hear me? Yeah, I cannot hear you, Munib. Maybe. So this is Suhail again in Islamabad, in India, in Kerala, and Tamil Nadu. The internet. We need to be 100% sure before we take this decision that we can give exam from center. So this is from home, and you have centers there in Lahore, in Islamabad, in Karachi, in Pakistan, in India, in Chennai, like in all those areas, you do have centers. So it does not make sense you don't book the exam in the center, right? It does not make sense you don't book the exam in the centers, and let's get this thing into that. Munib, we will wind it up. So which areas were mostly in the exam?
Uh, I mean, it's agile questions mostly. Then it's the hybrid one, and bet on, you know, s- very few questions related to risk, but mostly on stakeholder management, stakeholder teams, but mostly agile and hybrid. I think 60 or 70% was related to agile and hybrid project life cycles.
Hmm. I will, guys, anyone has any other follow-up question that they would like to ask? Now that comes to the most important thing that I would say, right? By the way, these are the online exam challenges. Before I move towards that, the PMP community, the community that is continuously there to guide you. Now, that community is my priceless thing. I would say the most important thing for me, right? Most important thing for me. So I'm gonna ask you, which I ask to each of my student, each one teach one. Each one teach one is the mantra of the game. What I want, what I want from you is that I want this that we worked together. You can add people to other. You see, Jane is always there answering question in your batch. Also, she asked if I can add also value. I added into the next batch. The same thing I wanted from your side. That each one teach one is the mantra of the game, and that's what I needed from you. I hope you can add a value in the life of other people's. I hope all these people who are sitting here, all your batch students, like we have how many more? Almost 50 more students from your batch. You can work into that way, and you can guide them along the way. I will take. Okay, how much time did you study on daily basis, Munib?
Yes. So when we started, we completed the classes, the coaching classes. In some days, I worked for like 4 hours because I had an irregular schedule because for some 3 4 days I could not do study at all. I mean, just 10 15 minutes. But most of the times I study 4 hours, and
Mm,
generally it was like 2 hours a day.
mm. Okay, okay. That's really great. And okay, how many questions were? Uh, no, that's lucky. I'm not going to answer that. Okay, one very important question. During exam, did you feel the questions you already resolved kind of the same question? So, how important the mocks were? Let me put the question in a different way. How important the exam
Yeah,
question? That goes.
actually I wanted to
Yeah.
yeah, sure, I actually wanted to answer that question because I understand what he's trying to understand. If you do the mock correctly,
Mm,
you would feel that you have seen this question because the scenarios are almost similar. It's not the same question per se, but you would find that you know about this situation and you instantly know the answer as well, because there's a one right answer. But the important thing is that you do not need to memorize the questions that you are doing in mocks, because it can be very distracting, and there can be a catch in during the exam, because you would find a similar statement that you might have done somewhere. You're thinking about an answer and the question is asking entirely different thing.
Mm,
So I would not suggest to trying suggest you to memorize any question from the mocks. Just try to understand the situation presented there, because let's say stakeholder problems, it is going to be always some stakeholder who is not who's angry, who is trying to get some more information from you. So if you do the mocks right, you would in back of your mind you would see that the question or the scenario is similar to what I've done, so I know the answer. You would not find the similar questions per se. I don't remember seeing, let's say, the same questions, but I can say the same scenarios. Yes, there were same scenarios.
mm. The scenarios were same. So I hope everyone is there. So Muneeb would be with you all the time. You can ask him, Muneeb, don't stop the journey here. Okay, don't stop the journey here. Let's keep moving forward. Relax for a day or two, then I will guide you further what you should do next. Okay, and Muneeb, we will have a PMP marathon in upcoming week. You know how important it is. So if you can make some questions and send it to me, that will be very helpful. My simulator has been made by you people. Like, why my simulator is so effective? The number one thing, the simulator is made by the questions you give. So whatever the questions you will give, eventually they go to simulator. So I hope you can provide some good data into that. Thank you very much, Muneeb, and thank you for your time. Send me a good picture. I will extract it and put it as a thumbnail there. Bye bye, Muneeb. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Bye bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, Muneeb here, cleared PMP in 3 weeks from zero knowledge.